And here's the thing, those positive qualities, as much as you want them to define you, they don't actually define you by themselves. Which is why I was saying that the purpose, the goal, the ultimate goal of shadow work is to integrate the shadow, is to accept those negative qualities as well and stop judging them. I hope that helps. In case you're scared, you have all the answers to your questions within you already. You just need to ask the right questions. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. The weather is getting more autumnal, or I'm assuming I'm going to be posting this already in September, which is very much autumn. So I'm very excited about this video because I have been already mentioning this topic so many times in the past, but I never actually dedicated a full video to it. I'm going to be talking about shadow work. Yes, I have finally decided to sit down and talk to you about shadow work. So yes, look, I talked about this so many times in my previous videos, in pretty much all of my past videos, to be honest with you, but I never really felt competent enough to actually fully sit down and break it down to you guys, because I felt like I just didn't know quite enough. I was still learning myself, and I'm still learning right now, but I have done some research so I can deliver information to you as well as I can. I believe I can say that I have a pretty extensive experience in academia doing academic research. So forgive me if I'm being a little bit too diligent, and I will start with the definition and such, but anyways, let's jump to this topic and let's break down shadow work. Finally. I cannot cover everything in just one video. I want to make it relatively concise, and I do want to start with the definition, talk about why we need to do shadow work, how do we do it, what's the point, what's the goal, what is a shadow, and I want to give you a few prompts for doing shadow work by yourself. So let's start with the definition of a shadow. And yeah, also please forgive me if I'm going to be reading some definitions, because I do have some terms written down here and some information that I just don't want to butcher. So just give me some grace, please. Thank you. Shadow is an unconscious aspect of the personality that does not correspond with the ego ideal, leading the ego to resist and project the shadow, creating conflict with it. If we define shadow work very, very simply, it's going to be the process of exploring the unconscious motivations behind our feelings and actions. Now, what does it mean to do shadow work? To do shadow work is to identify the experiences or interactions where you felt inferior to others, tension in the body, or feelings of jealousy, envy, anger, maybe very extreme sadness and such. Generally, I would say when you're feeling very extreme, unpleasant emotions, this is something to investigate and something to explore in shadow work. At this point, you might already know this, but if you don't, I have made several really good videos on how to process a really difficult emotions such as sadness, anger, jealousy, so on and so forth, guilt and shame, and how to do so ethically and ecologically. This is going to be really huge for shadow work. I'm going to leave the link to the whole playlist of these videos in the description box below, so please check them out. It's going to be very, very, very helpful if you are interested in shadow work. So you might want to start there, really, but don't leave this video quite yet. Shadow work is hard and it can be really painful, because the whole point of shadow work is to confront the most painful and kind of like dark sides of yourself that you have been trying to avoid and deny, and something that you have been trying to disown, basically, right? You might know the term shadow work from like witchy TikToks and such, but it is actually very much psychological term. Carl Jung was talking about this a lot. He did specifically talk about how the unconscious is going to be basically ruling our lives if we don't bring attention to it. Our shadow side, our dark side, something that we don't look into, something that we don't explore, something that we deny in ourselves and judge in others, is something that can very much negatively influence our lives and have really negative impact on our lives if we don't look into it. So that is why you should be doing shadow work, or at least starting looking into it. Basically, to kind of break it down simply for you, we have conscious side and we have an unconscious side of our mind, roughly speaking, right? The conscious side is the ego. It is something that we present to the world, and it's our persona. It's something that we create, roughly speaking, for the world, for the outside world. It's something that we kind of curate for the world. That is our conscious side. Now, we also have the unconscious side, and that is our shadow. This is something that we deny on ourselves, something that we don't accept, something that we think is not good enough, something that is bad, something that we do not want to be associated with. So we deny those things because we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be associated with such qualities. Therefore, we shove them to the side, we repress them, we, let's be honest, pretend like they are not part of us, and therefore we deny them. And that is a really negative thing, because in order to achieve this sort of union with yourself and to be whole, basically, you need to accept your shadow. The goal of shadow work is to integrate the shadow in order to become whole, in order to become fully yourself, accept yourself fully, truly, in order to fix your, honestly, a lot of your life's problems. You will stop judging other people because you will understand what that actually means, because you will have accepted your own dark side, so to say. And let's keep exploring that. The qualities that you seem attractive, desirable, are part of our ego. That's what you want to be. All the parts that you deny in yourself go straight to the shadow. Something that you disown, something that you deny. Also, if I seem to be a little bit all over the place today, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't sleep at all, so I'm doing my best. I will do more videos on shadow work in the future because I keep exploring this topic. It's very interesting to me. And I genuinely think it's really important to talk about this because I've seen so much content on it, but it was so vague and it was so kind of like lacking substance. So once again, we're covering the basics today. Really quickly, once again, talk about why we need to do shadow work. Why would you want to do that? Okay, doing shadow work is going to tremendously help you with your mental health. It is also going to help you resolve conflicts with other people and also some inner conflicts that you have within yourself to achieve inner peace. If you have a sort of like background state of anxiety and depression and just like eternal doom and sadness that you don't ever know where it comes from, shadow work can help you very much understand that and explore that. That's the whole point of shadow work, to explore the parts of yourself that you don't understand and don't like. It will help you answer a lot of questions that you have about yourself, about your own personality, about who you are. It is going to be unpleasant and it might hurt. You don't want to do this on a regular day. You might want to take separate time, a chunk of time to dedicate it to shadow work specifically, where you don't need to go anywhere, when you don't have to hang out with anyone, when you don't have to look presentable, when you can just spend time by yourself, diving into your shadow and exploring your darkest sides. It sounds kind of dark and gruesome, and honestly, it really can be. So, shadow work is not for the weak, if I'm being honest with you, but at the same time, it is going to make your life so much easier, and it is going to increase your self love and just generally your understanding of the world and of other people so much that it is absolutely worth it. And yet again, you will become a lot more conscious. You will just become more conscious of your actions and your behaviors, and you won't let your shadow, your unconscious, rule your everyday life and make decisions for you. Decisions that you will be ultimately unhappy with, most likely. Definitely, yes. So let's talk about how to do shadow work. Finally, okay, so we're starting with baby steps, right? Like I told you that we are just covering the basics today. I said multiple times today. Anyways, one of the first things that you want to do when you start doing shadow work is you want to cultivate self compassion, because it is so difficult and so hard to look into the deepest and undesirable parts of yourself, which, by the way, everyone has them. You are not unique in that. Don't think that it makes you some kind of monster or a horrible, undesirable, unattractive person. That is absolutely not the case. Everyone has a shadow. That's just how humans function, okay? And you need to develop some self compassion. You need to cultivate self compassion in order to dive into it without having your ego constantly protecting you and not allowing you to see the truth. You know what I'm saying? because the ego will always try to protect you. It will always try to protect you, and it will always try to make it seem like you are correct and you are not in the wrong. You know what I mean? It will make it really difficult for you to look at the ugly parts because it's so painful that, we don't want to experience pain and any kind of undesirable emotions. So please be kind to yourself. Please be self compassionate. Be very, very aware of the fact that it's going to be not easy. It will hurt, it will be unpleasant, but please remind yourself to be kind and compassionate to yourself going into this work. That's a really big deal, actually. Now, after that, you want to develop self awareness. The whole point of shadow work is developing mindfulness. I kept talking about mindfulness practices in the past in so many of my videos. Honestly, I kept talking about meditation and about journaling. And yeah, I will bring it up again because this is how you develop mindfulness. You want to start paying attention to your behavior, your action, your emotions, to how you present yourself to the world, to how you feel in different circumstances, to how you feel with different people, to how you talk, to how you behave, what kind of choices you make. Just become aware. Meditation and what is it, journaling, breath work, and things like that are just very helpful tools that will help you to kind of get there, that will help you to get centered and more acquainted with yourself and more aware. Now, remember how I said that people often project their deepest insecurities? That is because people often indeed project their disowned parts. People project the parts of themselves that they don't accept. So people project their shadows all the time. Always. If you pay attention, you will notice that, which is why I'm saying that if people say nasty things to you, it's quite literally never, ever about you. It is always about them. So, yes, start watching your emotional reactions, start paying attention, pause before you speak. Become very mindful when an emotion arises, especially if it's an unpleasant one. Obviously, if it's jealousy, if it's envy, if it's anger, if it is any kind of unpleasant emotion or some kind of stiffness in your body that arises in certain situations, just log that in, okay? Start to become aware of these things. And obviously, pay attention if you see any patterns. The next step is something that is going to help you actually look into this deeper. Challenge the good part versus the bad part. I told you before that ego is all about the positive, good qualities. It's all about protecting you, well, from pain and from hurt. So all the qualities that you deem to be good and respectable, the parts of your personality and of who you are, that is your ego. There is nothing wrong with that. That's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. And the dark parts, the undesirable ones, are the shadows. So try to distance yourself from the good versus bad narrative. Try to look at the different parts of yourself, different qualities, your emotional reactions, and so on and so forth, as neutral. Just look at them as somebody watching from the outside. Now, I want you to list your positive qualities. I want you to write down your positive qualities, as many as you can think of. And then after that, against every single positive quality, write the opposite quality of that one. So, for example, if you wrote diligent and hardworking, for example, right, that one of your qualities is that you are hardworking. Next to it, you will write lazy because that's the opposite of that quality. And do the same thing with every single one of these traits and qualities that you put down. After that, look at all those negative qualities and see how many of those you think you actually have. So, once again, pay attention to the fact that you are the one who chose those positive qualities that define you. That is honestly a really, really good and helpful indicator of what your shadow can be, right? This is what you want to be. This is how you want to present yourself as. This is how you want to behave. And this is quite possibly how you actually behave, how you want to behave, because that's what you think is good. And those negative things, look at those negative qualities and see how many of those you might possess. Let's take a look at the example with hardworking and lazy once again. So yeah, it is a good thing. It is, socially acceptable to be hardworking. It is a positive trait that is used as a compliment, right? It's seen as good. Lazy is seen as a bad thing. We were often told as kids that being lazy is bad, and whatever. If you're a student, if you work, it doesn't really matter. Being lazy is always seen as a bad thing. Could it be that you deny yourself your laziness? Maybe it is 100% a fact. You deny that you are lazy. You deny the laziness inside of you. You don't allow yourself to be lazy. You don't allow yourself to be lazy. You judge the laziness inside of you. Take it slow. Go through each of those qualities one by one and see how you can relate to them. Think of situations and moments where, yeah, you actually might be a jealous person. Okay? You can be a lazy person. You can be stupid as well. You can be manipulative. You can be judgmental. You can be deceitful, and so on and so forth. You can be angry. You can be nasty. You can be really unpleasant. And here's the thing, those positive qualities, as much as you want them to define you, they don't actually define you by themselves. You as a person is all of these qualities, which is why I was saying that the purpose, the goal, the ultimate goal of shadow work is to integrate the shadow, is to accept those negative qualities as well and stop judging them. And understand that if you have such quality as laziness, as you can be lazy, doesn't mean that you are a lazy person and that's what it is. You are nothing but lazy. That's also not how that works. You accepting your own laziness, you accepting your own all the other negative traits will not affect you expressing your positive traits. I hope that helps. In case you're scared. So, yes, basically look at those negative traits and try to accept them, try to make peace with them, and try to make friends with them. Because these are ultimately the qualities that you disowned, that you repressed, and that you want to distance yourself from, which is why you wanted to originally define yourself by the opposite of those things. It is okay to be stupid sometimes. You don't have to know everything. Allow yourself to be stupid sometimes. That's the whole point. Doesn't mean you are a stupid person. It means that you allow yourself to not know something. And you're not going to get depressed and really, really upset with yourself every single time you don't understand something or when you forget something. That also means that you will not get angry with somebody else when they forget something or they act stupidly. You know what I mean? Because you will understand that happens to everybody, and you will stop judging other people and yourself. That's a small example, but that's how it works with all of those qualities. Those negative qualities do not define you. They don't make you a bad person. Your goal is to make friends with your shadow. Now, let's talk about some of the journaling prompts because, of course, it's really helpful if you have a really good therapist because then you can do shadow work with your therapist under their guidance. But if you don't have a therapist, let's do some journaling. Once again, it's a fantastic self therapy tool. So, why not use that? It's going to be so helpful because I mentioned so many times you have all the answers to your questions within you already. You just need to ask the right questions. You can do a little bit every day. You can set some time once a week. But here are some of the questions that you might want to explore. Okay, one of the simplest questions that you can ask yourself basically every day in your journaling session is, what did I have an emotional reaction to? Very simple. After answering that question, think about what was behind that reaction. Try to dig a bit deeper. After that, try to think about if that reaction has anything to do with any of your past experiences. This is possibly one of the easiest, more beginner friendly questions. I do like the further ones more. Okay, what do I judge in others? What am I most afraid of? What am I most ashamed of? How do I sabotage myself? And why do I do it? What feelings am I trying to avoid? And why? What is behind those feelings? Are those feelings trying to protect me from something? Or what are they trying to protect me from? Because, I mean, obviously the answer is going to be that, I am, afraid of feeling hurt, or I'm afraid of feeling really strong negative emotions. Why? Because it is really painful to experience them. It is going to hurt. It's going to be deeply unpleasant. I don't want to experience that. What am I going to see behind that pain, beyond that pain? If I allow myself to, express those emotions and feel that pain and let it go, what is going to be behind that? Is it going to be the answers to my problems? Is it going to be the solutions? Is it going to be the peace that I've been asking for? The answer is yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. But you have to dig in. And look, like I said before, please practice self compassion and kindness to yourself, because this is not easy work. Okay, I will talk about shadow work more in the future, but this is it for today's video. Thank you very much, you guys, for watching this video. Please like it and subscribe to my channel. If you want to support me, please leave me a comment. Any comment doesn't really matter, but I would appreciate a supportive one. And of course, like this video and share it with your friends or with anyone who you think will benefit from it. Do check out my videos on emotional processing. I left the link to the playlist in the description box. And once again, thank you so very much, you guys, for your love and support. I love you, and I will see you in the next one.